right after 30 years. I don't know if you remember, I used to be called Jiggy Jr. back in the day for about 3 decades, but now I dropped the Junior simply because murag medyo ni tubo na ko gamay dili kaning vertically horizontally. So ato na i-drop ang juice kani si Raf Chavez pod ato aning kaning pinaka banggiitan og pinaka maanindot og pinaka maayo nga DJ sa most promising DJ para nako sa tibok Cebu. Unya ang problema lang nako ni Raf, dako ikong problema nimo Raf. Dako akong problema nimo Raf, bang imong buhok ni hapla na pod. Ha? Anong gipahapla man na nimo ing buhok?
Wala la, testing lang.
Nindot man kato imong buhok katong nagtindog katong murag ni pina-spike. Anong imo man gipahapla ba? Unsa man na pina K-pop na siya? Unsa man na?
Dili.
Unsa man na pasabta mi ana be?
Wala ko specific nga design in mind man jud, pero ako specific nga design in mind, pero
design.
Yeah,
Okay.
kinda hairstyle nga in mind, pero dili pa nako
Ma-achieve nimo.
Ma-achieve nako kay wala pa niabot ang
Product.
Nakoy product ni order nga need pa nako
Wait,
para
mga kaigalaan kani iyang hisgutan nga product dugay na kini siya ni pasabot
Say dugay.
dugay na kan pila na nakaadlaw ning ka product. So pasabot niya ni number 1 lisod ni siya pangitaon, number 2 layo kay nagigikanan, and number 3 basig ang iyang formulation niya grabe kay ni ka specific nga dili gyud makitan maski asa lang. So Raf, pasabta ko na mi Raf, unsa man ang product nga hisgot imong ibutang nimo sa imong buhok be?
kana kung gitawag nila nga sea salt spray.
Sea salt spray?
Yeah.
So ang imuhang buhok butangan nimo og asin. Butangin lang po pitsin. Ha?
Dili po din
Ha?
nga asin, no.
Naakoy daghang turmeric sa balay. Naakoy daghang mga spices dito gikan sa India. Unsa man? Ha?
Murag kana dili na mada kay ang kaning specific na
So nganong nakibaw man ka nga kaning unsa tawag salt spray. Nganong nakibaw man ka nga specifically mo nay produkto para sa imong buhok. Ngano man kuno be? Kinsa may gasulti nimo na?
Nangita ko tanaw ko guide online like unsa ang pag achieve ato nga hairstyle.
So kinsa man imong gitanaw?
Kalimot ko pangan niya basta YouTube.
Some
YouTube.
random guy.
Some random
So why would you
guy on
believe
YouTube.
in some random guy to take care of your hair?
It's not about taking care of the hair. It's how to get the hairstyle.
That's why.
basically.
Why do you want to listen to a random guy? What if makaupaw to be?
Well,
sugot lang ka? Wag ka ba? Basta binuangan lang ka to, di ba?
the pain is worth the glory.
Nakainomdom. I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you a
Go.
joke. That's why it's important not to just believe in any advice from anybody. Nakainomdom ko ba? Kaning nami katabang ba nga? Kaning dark, siya morena. Parehan ako gud nga medyo morena Pilipino ba? Unya ganahan gasto.
Moreno de ka?
And nagstorya na misa akong katabang this is a long time ago. Apo ko'y buot ato hantod karo, gapoy buot. Kaning naghisgot ko namin istoryaan ba pag human ingon siya nga sir kaning lago man kay ko sir ganahan ko magpaputi. Right? I'm a kid, right? I don't know what to tell her, right? Wa pa tong gluta tong panahon na. Ingon ko nga kay naman uso pa tong lugod atong una. Ang buhaton nimo magkuha kag init tubig ug asin imong luguran. Kibuhat bitaw na niya ba? Oh my goodness.
Oh no.
Namuwag mayo yang kading panit. So all I'm saying is if you don't trust the person, please don't get advice from them.
Yeah. But this isn't like a taking care of your hair type of advice ang akong gipangita. Ang akong gipangita is just how to get the hairstyle. So how to style it in that way. And
okay.
And then the reason why I trust it because he basically showed it on camera.
Proof.
Yeah, there's proof.
It works.
Basically, it went from straight to kind of frizzy kind of look.
Frizzy kind of look.
Yeah.
So ang kanilang produkto it makes your hair look frizzy. Is that what you're saying?
Kinda. Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, you actually look different now. Not necessarily in a bad way. I was just kaning surprised because nindot man kita tan-awon mong buhok nga ni ulbo.
Spike.
Nindot man kito ba?
I can still do it right now.
Nindot mo to imong spike nga hair. Nindot man kito tanan niya. Kibaw ka kana manggong if you know kana manggong the psychology of hair ba is kung pananglitan ang imo the less hair you have on your face, the smaller your feature look like. Pananglitan, di ba? Kaning atong ilong, di ba? Pananglitan ng atong mga lips, di ba? Kung natay daghan buhok sa ato ang agtang sa atong face silbi, ang kaning mga features na to will look bigger. Kaya ang proportion ba sa skin to hair ba. But kung imong ana mo yung buhok mo gamay-gamay tanaw imong ilong, imong baba, imong mata. So kana nindot kay tanaw ni mga features ana mas nindot tanaw ba niya mas di ba? Nindot man ang long og face kaysa lapad, di ba? Kanya usually kana mga Pinoy mga lapad man tag naong, di ba? Kung imo ipatindog imong buhok nasa illusion nga murag imong naong mura sag mutaas ba. So mo na siya nga giganahan ko sa imong look.
Current pa ko. Ano din murag science behind ani nga ako, no?
Nice
Kaning
science.
hairstyle.
So ako gi paminaw nimo ba? Kaya I'm gonna give you advice the same way I gave my helper advice.
Or feel na ko nakoy regrets kung maminaw ko nimo. Nakoy regrets.
Rugrats. Anyway, kani ato ang broadcast karon, but this is a kind of a celebration for us kay finally we're on the air. But akong pautana ra mo andar pa ba nitong telepono? Ha? Tanaw nimo wala pa ka ni kuan, wala pa ka ni unsa tawag nini gi cut sa smart? O sa ni PLDT ni smart.
Napam screw. Muga napam screw sa.
Nadeo, naraday napagyapon day. So nami number kung ganahan mo text na mo ha. 0999, that's 0999 887 6070. Okay, once again, ang among number is 0999 887-6070. Kung naamoy mga requests, shout-outs, and greetings and whatever. Pangita lang ko, akong pangan si Jiggy Juice, ang akong tupad si Raf Chavez. Karong adlaw, June 6, 2026, atong hisgutan karong buntaga is actually very interesting. And this has been a constant conversation here in the Philippines. Kaning gitawag na to og kaning ato ang independence ba? Kay karong magupit sa 12, karong Biyernes, Rafsa? Karong Biyernes, mag-celebrate ta sa ato ang Independence Day. Ikapila na itong Independence Day, ba? Ikapila na katuig ang atong pagka-independent kunuhay. Ato ko nang i-google. Good pila naman katuig ang ato ang Philippine Independence.
I-google sa nato.
Philippine Independence.
Para sure.
Independence. By the way, kaning grabe kayo nahitabo sa Conbesa sa Mindanao ba? Grabe ha to yung earthquake sa?
7.8.
Suga. Tayog.
Oh, lagi.
So,
wala lang gani akong mom kay, you know,
she's in the area?
Yeah, she was there when it hit Jud, and akong siblings pa day, akong brother. Ay, wala pa ni larga akong sister or brother adto, pero my mom was in Mindanao, and may nalanggani na siya sa Mindoro dapit, so wala kay sila na fielded to
sa Mindoro.
Mm-hmm.
Pero nakakita gyud ko atong pagkatumpag sa Jollibee bagrabiha sa?
Oh, kato. I hope nga everybody managed to get out of the building in time.
Napagit yung radio station sa taas, katong Love Radio, kita ka?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so,
kabanday ko sa sign.
Wa mo kunay kuan, ni kuan mo kuno ni
nakagawa sa sila.
Ni announce man kuno ang Jollibee nga wala kuno naangin or namatay sa katong pagkatumpag sa building, pero kaning grabe sa tong building ka sama to kanang makakita kag inana ba unsa may masulti no grabe ka dito la tong building ay or kaning grabe ka kusog atong earthquake ka ay unsa may
I think ang kusog jud na kay ang earthquake, and magnitude 7 good siya. Anything magnitude 7 is going to be really strong na jud. Awara gutong ko nahitabo sa Bugo magnitude 7 pud biya to. And then the fact nga ang epicenter was in the land rather than compared sa Bugo nga sa coastal area. Within the sea jud siya ang epicenter sa quake. So makaingon jud ka nga kusog na ganitong naigo sa Bugo, unsa lang ka kung nang epicenter on the land.
Mao gyud.
So motong nahitabo dito sa
Mindanao. Asa maday ang asa maday ang epicenter ba?
Ang epicenter dapit kay
ngano nakaingon man ka nga naa sa nga naa sa tawag ni ani sa
kay kita mo sa post
dagat sa yuta gyud silbi sa on land, right? Kay
yeah.
Posible din na dahil nga ang epicenter sa usa ka earthquake naa sa dagat, right?
Yeah. Awara katong post sa Fivox. Hang on.
Once again, mga kahigalaan, you're listening to 105.1 TMC. We are
Facebook, no?
now live on Facebook at unsa atong Facebook ito ba?
TMC 105.1 FM.
That's TMC 105.1 FM. Kung ganahan mo mosalbot sa among programa, of course, pwede pa mo mag-text na mo diri sa amo ang radio station. Naman mi text number. High-tech kay Mr. Nan.
Oh,
grabe kay high-tech. 0999-887-6070. That's 0999-887-6070. Let me repeat that one more time. 0999-887-6070. Asa mang epicenter ba?
Gipakita pa na ko ang post kay ang current nga updates nila kay regards to mga aftershocks nga naa sa kaan.
Naka-feel gyud diri anang naka-feel ka to ba wala ba?
Wala.
Because
wala.
my daughter who works in a hospital, she was at the 8th floor of a building, right? So ang iyang feeling ba, in fact, her office mates felt the same way. Kaning mura ko nalipong siya. Pagtuon niya nga mura siyang nalipong man ko. Silang tanan nalipong pasabot na gyud ni uyo gyud day. So mo na feeling nila. So I don't know sa kung unsa ka kusga ang ato ang earthquake diri sa Cebu.
Wala gamay ra kayong kan ni abot sa ato. I mean even the people in upper nga Mindanao kay wala sila na feel compared sa kanjud sa people closer to the epicenter sa General Santos City.
Anyway,
wait, I'm still trying to find that epicenter.
So karong adlaw bay nakuha na nako na suta na nako si Google 128th day ka 128 nga Independence Day. So we're celebrating our 128th year of independence from Spain man ba sa ang atong gi-celebrate independence from Spain man June 12 di ba, pero giusab man nila bay naman pa gitawag nila og Phil-Am Friendship Day. Unsa may di ba na may murag medyo gamay nga kausaban or kaning June 12 yun is really the day that we celebrate Independence Day, because don't you because if I remember clearly by I'm sure nga I probably misremember this because I misremember a lot of things. Di ba ang katapusan na to nga murag mahog og colonizer, dili ba to mga Amerikano ba? Dili ba to, di ba gi-overthrow man nila ang murag
napagaling mga Hapon ni abot after them.
So kinsa may katapusan day? Nganong why are we celebrating our independence from Spain man?
Well, ang main man jud basically ang kani kay it's the formation man jud of our modern
nation,
state,
nationhood,
modern nation of the Philippines. So na form man ta after atong after na we got our independence from Spain, ni take over diretso ang mga Amerikano, pero basically
so we already were let go of by the Spaniards, not because or is it because of the pressure of the United States, right?
Naman sila
nag-away, nagubat mo sila, di ba?
Ako ako nabasa nga ako.
Di ba or gibaligya man tong Pilipinas, di ba?
Gibaligya. Yeah. Ang katong merg nag-away sila kay for sure to basically.
So there was never a kind of quote unquote real conflict between the United States and the United States and Spain.
And the
wala
Spanish.
ra.
Merg for sure siya para makaingon sila ba nga. Okay, we chased away the Spaniards. Murag ana gani.
So what is this? Is this your theory or is it written in the history books nga it was just for show?
Yeah, I remember reading about that. Yeah.
For show ra gito siya.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, but eventually gibaligya sa Amerika ang
no, not eventually. Kay the deal was already made, and then they did that for show.
Okay, they already had sold the Philippines to Spain. Kanya paghuman.
No. The Spain already sold the Philippines to the Americans.
Gibog nino ko siya nang baligya na. Mura man gunig kaning LED TV ba nga
lagi.
Gibaligya ba loya sa Pilipinas gibaligya.
Lagi gani.
Sa muka. Anyway, gibaligya na sa Spain, sa Amerika ang Pinas, right? Niya paghuman na pero ang atong nationhood nagsugod yun katong declare sa Spain sa atong independence, right? Mo to yung hitabo. So ang atong gi-celebrate is really the independence from colonial rule, right? It was back in 1898, June 12, when we were declared free from Spanish colonial rule. It was Emilio Aguinaldo declared independence in Kawit, Cavite on the same year, or the same date, June 12. And on July 4th, 1946, the country recognized sovereignty from the United States, achieved full recognized sovereignty from the United States. So kani siyang murag July 4, mo na yung gitawag nila Phil-Am Friendship Day, di ba? Mo man siguro ni, di ba?
Murag mali day akong naingon gay na. I just double checked kay Ang katong ang epicenter jud ay sa sa 7.8 nga magnitude earthquake nga naigo sa Sanangaring province kay it was in the Celebes Sea, approximately 20 to 32 kilometers southwest of Maasim town. So conjud in the sea jud ay siya, pero based man jud sa photo gipost nila kay mura siya within the conjud within the land jud.
So anyway, let's hope nga there will be no more aftershocks. But can you say that by no?
No.
Is that good gone? Is that really like morag unstoppable? Every time there's an a major earthquake,
there's going to be
there's
aftershocks.
always going to be aftershocks.
Yeah, there's always going to be
And
aftershocks.
must the aftershocks be within the same area where the
yeah, it's going to
major-
be.
Oh,
It's
okay.
going to be within the same area.
Mm.
In fact, if you, I was ang reason nga murag dugay ko naka-confirm kani sa information is because I was scrolling through ang Fivox nga Facebook page, and all of their posts right now are basically about aftershocks. If you look at it, it's just all aftershocks, and it's all within the same area ra gyapon.
Nakapait mo gud nang kuan ba kanang i-earthquake proof nimo imuhang balay ba or imuhang building ba nam gunay. I spoke to an architect many times about this. Na mga 30 to 40% increase in the cost bitaw if you want to earthquake proof your house and
For
your
sure.
building ana. So kita gali nga budget kuan kaning og paghimo og balay or building paghuman punan pa nimo og additional 40% cost, di ba? Mura og niya kanang earthquake kuno hay murag dili man na siya very common sa Pilipinas, di ba? So kadaghanan sa mga ato mga kaigsuonan, especially sa probinsya ba, dili kay sila magunahon na og kuan og kaning og ginana bitaw.
Wait, what do you mean nga dili siya very common? It's actually very common here in the Philippines. Kay we're in the ring of fire.
Oh, okay, but kaning ako lang theory ba is maybe they don't feel nga it's kaning often enough bitaw to warrant almost additional 30 to 40% cost siguro.
Well,
I don't know.
That's the thing is actually, kay, we have a lot of seismic activity diri sa Pilipinas. It's just that we're not fully aware of it every single day because most of the seismic activity na diri,
really?
it's very low level.
Minor ra?
Yeah, mga kanya.
Ikaw ras og sa imong kwarto naguyog dito. Mo na magkakuha sa
Dili
earthquake.
po.
Kisa may kuyog nimo bay?
Ahoy. Murag
nganong-
ayo ay paminaw niya wala siya ikon lamang sa akong kinabuhi.
Mooda yung naguyog-uyog di ay.
I know. Vampire rights. Vampire will pay to me.
Lagi.
Bad.
Lagi sa na sa muka. So grabe kayo nga mga tumpag lang ng mga building diha tungod sa ka weak siguro sa ilang foundation ba, di ba?
Dili pud ko makaingon maka-comment bahin ana because I genuinely don't know unsay structure sa atong mga basic structure na sa mga buildings nato diri sa Pilipinas. But I think given the fact nga earthquakes are actually a very common occurrence here in the Philippines, it's just really the most common ones are very low level. In fact, makainomnom ko nga when we went to a disaster risk reduction talk about this, kay we actually got to look at some of the data that Fivox goes through on a daily basis. Now, there's basically like apps now that monitor seismic activity, and then you can see on the app the daily number of quakes we have is actually really high. It's in the thousands.
Really now.
Yeah, it's just that they're very minor.
Pero ang society ba nga tanaw nako based on my observation, and I'm sure you can agree with me. Kanang Japan ang pinaka mura og earthquake ready nga society ba, di ba?
Probably.
Ang akong feeling ba nga kaning grabe kay sila ka murag pirmin lagi tayo og diha bitaw sa Japan. I don't know if it's just my perception or if it's reality. Kay mura og daghan man kaayong technology nga about earthquakes bitaw nga nagikan sa Japan. In fact, nako amigo bay si Hash bay, shout out to Hash a few years ago.
Hush, baby.
Natrabaho siya og Japan. Unya ang iyang trabaho is to murag lay the groundwork kanang bitang murag na mga bula ibutang sa ilawom sa usa ka building para kung mag-earthquake imbis nga matumpag muuyog lang bitaw kana mo murag like a large ball under the building ba sa para iniguyog mo ora siya mo ana lang bitaw mo na ilang trabaho to earthquake proof a building or a house.
Wow.
So kading mga teknolohiya sa earthquake suwito kay mga Hapon ani. So basig siguro nga tungod sige earthquake sa Japan mo na silang nahanas silang earthquake, right? They're so kaning used to earthquakes, that they've tried to figure out how to live with it, right?
Oh, yeah,
So
siguro.
so akong pangutana, maybe we can Google this one by ngan abot matag earthquake kaning Independence Day matag istoryahan. Kani nga
Alam mo, Joy, linog ni Igo diri sa Pilipinas recently.
Mao lagi,
Muna.
So tanaw ko na ba ang prevalence of earthquake sa Japan versus the Philippines. Kinsa kay mas dagang earthquake ka? Tungod lang ka nga ang mga Hapon medyo serious ang mga tao niya kita dili. Or is it really nga mas daghan gyud og earthquake sa Japan versus the Philippines? Tanaw na to na be. Once again, if you want to join our conversation, just comment your thoughts, your shout outs, and your suggestions, and even your questions on our Facebook page, Tops Media Center, 105,
okay.
105.1 FM. That's TMC 105.1 on Facebook. And also, if you want to text us, ang ato ang cell number is 0999. That's 0999 887-6070. Yes, Raf, go ahead.
Okay, so there's a bit of truth sa imong perception bahin sa what do you
Japan?
call this? Japan ug ang iyang ang iyang earthquake nga situation. So both Japan and the Philippines are situated in highly seismically active zones along the Pacific Ring of Fire. Japan records more total earthquakes and accounts for a larger share of the world's highest magnitude quakes. So ang biggest nga problema sa Japan is not only nga naa sila within the Ring of Fire that's seismically active, same with our situation, pero mas daghay earthquakes dira sa Japan nga mas kusog kumpara sa ato. So most siguro ang main reason po that they're earthquake proofing a lot of the buildings in Japan, it's because 20% of the world's earthquakes that are magnitude 6 or greater happened in Japan.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So mas daghan sila earthquakes nga kusog jud kayo.
Versus the Philippines, do we have a number also? Like in the same way that Japan has 20% of the world's earthquakes? Na by
Wala yung number nga gi-mention diri bahin ana.
So
Pero the Philippines, one of the downsides diri pod sa Pilipinas, biggest problem diri sa Pilipinas is we consistently rank as one of the most vulnerable countries globally due to differences in infrastructure and disaster resilience. So naatay problema primarily sa atong infrastructure. So you could argue nga maybe it's because nga we're not getting hit by that many strong earthquakes, pero I think we still need to build better infrastructure basically.
Yeah, we're part of the Pacific Ring of Fire, di ba? Kaning
yes.
Pacific Ring of Fire, murang maho. Is it a fault line ba? Mura na siya kaning area nga medyo kusog kayo or daghan kayo mga
active
earthquakes, di ba?
Active
faults,
yeah,
di ba?
yeah.
So accounts for a larger share of the world's highest magnitude quakes ang Japan because it belongs to the Pacific Ring of Fire. So anyway, I think ang imuhang point is that maybe we should be requiring siguro people who are building buildings and homes kanang kind of earthquake proof, di ba? And I think magsugod man siguro na sa kuan bay sa balaod ba, di ba? Pero ang problema lang kay daghan kayong mga balaod sa mga building code, mga so on and so forth. Pag human yan ang implementation na
wala ra gyapon.
So I guess at the end of the day siguro we'll just this sounds very kaning dangerous pero ang kuan lang yun is yung material lang matibay ani. Di ba?
Unta dili.
Pero kung nakay-gi-invest with panalitan, nakay-invest nga balay or building, di ba? Ganahan sa siguro ka nga dili matumpag imong building, di ba?
Oo, lagi,
diba?
unta. Pero munang pangutana pod nila dire kung kuan if kanalaging kuan ginaingon nila if may gusto may kaya.
Wala mo sad na.
Lagi. So kung gusto jud mo nga kuan mo ang inyong kuan gitaod nga mga balay, mga negosyo ninyo mo kuan jud siya mo last jud siya for the foreseeable future, then you need to bear in mind jud nga naata dire sa Pacific Ring of Fire, natay daghan kay tag mga active nga faults. In fact, we get I might have to double check again like pila jud ka how much seismic activity we get within a day, pero sa ako madumduman it was like 1,000 a day, something like
Pero
that.
kuno na, by we're the same people that have homes on the side of lakes and bodies of water under bridges, right? Nga
Oh, na po na.
nga nga klaro kaayo nga flash flood zone na siyang lugar ra diha pag humanay mga balay diha nga ginabuild nila diha. So
Mhm.
grabe kaya nga ato ang appetite for risk siguro. But maybe we're just a very kaning risky people ba?
risky,
Risky-
risky people.
Risky lifestyle kita sanan ba, or probably because we don't have a choice, right? Most of our brothers and sisters have no choice but to build their
Uh-huh.
homes
Yeah.
in flash flood areas and build their homes without earthquake proofing it.
Yeah,
Right?
basically like kung makaya sa budget, pugson jud nila nga nasa lay kaan. It's still not it's not something nga we should encourage though.
Yeah, I know.
Kay if you take a look at their kaan, what happened with Tino recently here in Cebu, kay daghan jud biya kayo kaan nawadaan not only sa ilang balay, sa ilang mga gamit, pero they lost their lives pod because na sila sa kaning mga areas. So this is something we should highly discourage gyapon. Makasabot mi nga wag ma-feel ninyo nga wala mo'y choice, wala mo'y lain kaadtuan, pero I think we need to prioritize safety. And kabalo ko nga isog man jud mga Bisaya, pero dili pod ta dili ta
Magpalabi ka isog.
magpalabi ka isog kay we need to put safety. We need to put a higher value gani on safety.
By the way, good morning to our friends in Baclayon, Bohol, especially to Embre. Ang ato ang mga friends from the band Give No Fudge. Naminaw na to ron sa Baclayon, Bohol. Daghang
Wow.
salamat sa inyong pagpaminaw. Baclayon, Bohol.
May na lang gani maabot na punta balik sa Bohol.
I know, right? Guess
Feels
so.
good, feels good.
So, ganahan ta akong makakita og kaning ube. Unta ube.
Ubay.
Ube, di ba namin specific breed of ube nga nagtubo ra sa kuan sa Bohol ra
Kaya
kanang
mo tong giingon nila, yeah, right?
halaya, ube halaya.
Mhm.
So
So
that's
kabalo ko sa kan like how foreigners, how Americans pronounce ube.
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 There's this new flavor in Starbucks. It's called
Ube. More of like that's the sound that my butt makes every time it drops some.
Ube. Di katawa din ka. Like, huh? Ano say ube? Ipakita nila ube. So embarrassing.
Anyway, today our topic is why do we celebrate Independence Day, right? And I think it is so related to what we just talked about earlier, because katong our inability to build the right homes, but because we can't afford it. In many ways, we are not free because we're under the mercy of the weather, di ba? And of course, in many ways, di mo kita maka kaning hunong sa weather, di ba? Kanang mga acts of God, di ba? Kanang nature, di ba? So kanang earthquake o mga bagyo niya na you can only prepare so much, di ba? I mean, like even the most developed nations in the world still have flash floods, di ba? And in fact, kanang mga earthquakes even in many parts of the world nga you would consider them kaning places nga bitaw murag medyo highly developed na sila, grabe gyapon kayo maepektuhan sila sa earthquake. So you can only prepare about it only to a certain extent. Otherwise, then you're at the mercy of the forces of nature. So kanang atuang pagka-free ba, I think kanang concept magud of freedom by related man siguro na sa imuhang individual freedoms put and the individual freedoms that the people of a nation can enjoy, and I think the freedom to live a decent life, I think, is and should be part of the conversation, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I actually no, I don't think so. Kay primarily man jud ang kaning celebration nato of Independence Day. It's not an extension to like the quality of life
Okay.
people are living right now. It's really just a celebration of the fact nga we managed to gain independence from Spain. Kana lang jud. First and foremost, you could make the argument siguro nga moving forward in order to
So,
ensure
oh,
that the Filipino people are truly free.
so
We
why
could
why is that a celebration ba? Nganong mo celebrate man tangang gitagaan ta og independence? Unsa may what's to celebrate there? Pasabta ko no atong mga kigsuon. Unsa may i-celebrate mo na nga mura kag kaning pananglitan. Let's just say langgam, right? Langgam
Mhm.
ka niya paghuman gibutang ka og cage, right?
Mhm.
So, is this the same analogy nga gibuhian na ka sa imuhang cage, free na ka to fly, right? So,
Mhm.
is that similar to that concept nga murag medyo dili ka free, nya let go na gibuhian na ka sa imong cage, nakalupad na ka, so you're now free. You're now a sovereign nation. Is that similar? No.
Uh,
Was that a
Yeah,
correct analogy? No.
yeah, I think that's a
Okay.
decent analogy with regards to that. Yeah, I could agree with that.
So ni celebrate nga gibuhian na ta sa anong colonial masters,
Basically,
right?
and the ones who are colonial masters for the longest nga time. But
So we should be thankful to the Spaniards, right? Salamat kayo nga gibuhian.
no,
So unsa man like
no, it's not that we're being thankful for the Spaniards. To the Spaniards,
Okay.
we're being thankful that we managed to form our own nation state. Kana lang jud. We're not thankful to we're not
So-
going to be thankful to the Americans because this was basically their deal with the Spaniards
Di ba,
to get control of the Philippines.
there was like the Battle of Lapu-Lapu, di ba? Battle
yeah.
of Mactan, di ba? Namatay mga ito si kuan na to si Magellan, di ba?
Magellan.
Magellan. Gitadtad man to ni kuan ni Lapu-Lapu, di ba? Mo man atong celebrated hero si Lapu-Lapu. Nag-away kita pagsugod pag-abot sa mga atong mga colonizers, di ba? And then paghuman niya na murag pipila ka hundreds of years, mga 300 for almost 400 years, we were under Spanish rule. So murag medyo nakampante na lang ta, murag na train ta nila ba? Murag na discipline ta nila, di ba? So we were able to in a way live harmoniously with our colonizers for such a long time, di ba? And eventually did we fight for our independence? Sorry ba kaning medyo nakatugo atong part sa akong history lesson. So katong in the tail end na of their rule of the Spaniards, ba nag-away na sa dato, nakigbisog na punta sa ato ang pagka-independence or wala na?
Well, basically, yeah. Naman jud the faction within Philippine society jud nga ningita jud sila independence, especially ang katong people who managed to go abroad for school kay dira jud nila na discover
They saw the light.
Yeah, they saw the light. Basically, they saw that there were other independent countries. There were former colonies that are now independent states now.
Unsa to mga tuiga kabe mga 1800s ba? 1900s ato siya.
1800s, yeah.
So
from what I remember.
I'm curious ba, was it during the Enlightenment ba of katong France and Europe? Was it
The Enlightened period.
Oh, the
yeah,
Enlightened
yeah.
period.
The Renaissance period.
No, the Enlightened katong like
Oh.
like katubang time bang they discovered science and that people got enlightened. Was that part of that era when Rizal and the other Filipinos went abroad to go to school and all of that stuff? I think that's
Actually, we need to.
I think that's an important kaning distinction ba unsa tong panahon na sa Europa o asam ga islang gieskwela nga katong mga silang Jose Rizal, katong kasi pa uban ba akong naibawan ba si Jose Rizal na miniskwela og laing nasod ba kasi may lain nga kaning cool kid ba nga daga kwarta nga makaskwela og kaning lain nga nasod ba. That's actually a very kaning interesting question too because ang hinumduman si Jose Rizal lagi naka-eskwela og lain nga nasod ang uban ako mga kaning memory sa history murag way lain si Jose Rizal lagi ang nakaskwela og lain nga lugar. Unsa man ni ba? Unsa may imong nakita dia? By the way, if you want to join our conversation, just feel free to text us on our text number of TMC 105.1 0999 88767070. Tell me where you are. Asa mo na minaw namo. Unya. Maybe if you want to ask a question, make a request, shout out, or greetings, i-text lang me 0999-8876-070. You can also join us on YouTube uh, at Tops Media Center,
So okay.
and also on Facebook, one of TMC 105.1 FM. So kaning kuan ba kaning katong gihisgot nimo nga naay mga Filipino nga naka-eskwela sa
ang mga
naka-eskwela,
ilustrados.
mga ilustrados naka-eskwela sa Europa and many other places of the world. Unsa man tong panahon na sila nga nag-eskwela sila? Akong gipangutana is, was it part of the Enlightenment?
Post-Enlightenment period na siya.
Post na siya.
Yeah, post-Enlightenment period. So, kaya ang Enlightenment period was from 1650 to 1800. Anya, ang ganing mga ilustrados, si Jose Rizal, si Marcelo H. Del Pilar, si Graciano Lopez Haina, kay
mo ni silang
yeah.
naka-eskwela.
Yeah.
Dili de si Jose Rizal ra di ay.
Daghan na sila.
Abi
Daghan
na ko
sila.
si
Kaya
Jose
ang
Rizal, rich kid.
ilustrados, they were basically, ang ginatawag nga ilustrados, they were the educated nga middle class intellectuals of the Philippines. Mga Filipino jud mga basically they were, Filipinos who
So
managed
asa
to
man ni sila
afford
eskwela ba
being able to
sa
grow
Europa
abroad.
ni sila ba ni eskwela?
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, they
Europe ni sila ni eskwela, di ba?
Yeah, basically through different places in Europe basically.
So they probably
And
were
yeah, they went there mga late 1800s, 1880 something like that.
So kani silang mga tawhana ba? Kani silang mga rich kids, kani mga ilustrados way. Isa na correct one ba? Description ba yung mga rich kids kanang mga ilustrados?
Pretty
much, right? Pretty much.
Basically. Mga rich kid.
Mga rich na sila. Niskwela sila Europa, so nakakita sila unsa ng kaning freedom. Nakakita sila unsa ng mga societies nga murag dili man ni para sa mong akong homeland nga mura magdili man may free, mura naka-feel na sila, nakumparar sila, di ba?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, pag human ingon sila nga I think we want this for our country too, right? So,
Yes.
kung naaragod ba kung ato sa naka-eskwela ba, kung wala gipagawas ba, kung wala rich kids ba, dili gid sila makadamgo og freedom for their people, di ba?
Well, I guess naaman gyapon pero smaller scale. Ang man jud, this is something I came to realize later on pod. A lot of the kanang revolutionary movements throughout history were mainly spearheaded by intellectuals. Kaning people who knew how to organize people into these movements basically. And a lot of them were like middle to upper class nga individuals. The lawyers, academics, a lot of basically highly educated people. So the idea, siguro there were sentiments among the regular Filipinos, the people of the lower middle class and the and people who were living in poverty who dreamt of freedom pero wala sila basin wala sila concrete nga imahe gani kung unsa ning what does a free Philippines look like. Meanwhile ang sila kaning mga nakaadto abroad, nakaskwela abroad, they learned about colonies that broke off from their colonial masters and became independent states.
So I wonder ba unsa kato nga klase nga freedom nga gi-imagine sa usa ka tawo nga wala nakagawas iyang nasod, wala naka-eskwela og kaning prestigious universities like these so-called ilustrados, di ba? So unsa ka iyang idea of what freedom is? Nangutana ko ana ba kay ako magong kaning original question, first question you unta. Unsa man day ng freedom day? Unsa man day ng independence day? Where does that feeling come from, di ba? Like do human beings inherently want to be free? Or are we made to be ruled? Mo man ang murag pangutana, di ba? Are we inherently free or are we made to be ruled? Kaya usahay man good, I mean, kita, I have to admit sometimes nga murabag especially kung wala kay kaning mga belief system, wala kay dili ka part of a political movement, wala kay wala kay group of friends, wala kay community, wala kay barangay, you feel nga on your own, if you did not kaning read or research, maglisod ka og huna-huna, unsa madagyud akong ganahan diay murag imong it has to rub against society ba and other people ba, di ba? Kay kung maganon na lang ko magunsam ko, like I'm just imagining ba when the idea of freedom and independence came about, ba, murag, kung ako rang usa diri, like ako rang usa sa Adam and Eve paranglitan. Sila ra si Adam, si Adam man sa ilang sabi ni Eve kay murag sugod na to iyang pag dili free pagabot ni Eve. Si Adam ba, Adam like wa may musugo na ko, like usar man ko. Sige lang ko lakaw-lakaw, di ba? Di ba?
Lagi.
Pag abot ni Eve, wala na siya. Hoy, di ka pwede magbahag-bahag di makita yung itlog, di ba? Or something like that, right? I don't know. So what I'm saying is kanang desire for freedom and independence, but is that something that's inherent, which you said it is, but I wonder what version of the kaning less traveled and less educated person feels what freedom is. Unsa ka ilang kay I can imagine siguro ilang freedom na siguro to eat. Freedom to have roofs over their heads, di ba? So mo nang ang akong segue we were talking about poverty and all is related to just the basic needs of an individual. Maybe that's the freedom that they want, right?
Well, yeah, I can agree nga kon inherently in a way a lot of our desires for freedom will coincide sa atong mga basic nga ginatawag na nato karon nga mga basic necessities nato. Like the freedom to eat when you want to eat, the freedom to live where you want to live. Kana that's a lot of things that people desire. Pero at the same time, people also understand ang structure. There's a certain comfort pod nga gihatag sa structure. And with structures, and one of the structures that people really enjoy is the structure of society. And within societies, it has its own rules and its regulations. So this is something that, although we have this desire for freedom, we understand in order to live in a society and to enjoy the comforts that a society can give, we're willing to forego some of our freedoms just to follow these rules and regulations para na atay comforts.
Harmony.
Yeah, something like that.
Harmonious ang society. So, so gi-curtail na to atong freedom. So kung usa ra ka katao, si Adam ra ka, you don't need any rules, right? Because you make your own rules, right? Whatever feels right for you is what you do because you have no rules. But now, ngan abot na si Adam, si Iba di ba niya pag humanana siya, di ko kapatakag kaning lakaw-lakaw kay kung dasmagan ako si masig masuko to. So magsugod na so so nagsugod ang kaning ato ang idea of what freedom is because maybe other people kind of or makes us feel like we are being curtailed by their presence. Right? Sakto ba ko ba? Is that a correct description of how a society might work? Nga kung daghang gig tao dili ta pataka lang tag pangihi diya sa iskina kay na may laing tao nga makasimhot, di ba? Di ba bay? Di ba bay? Nya kung naay nagpuyo diha nga iskinaha diya, di ba? Di ba? So but kung ikaw rang usa sa lugar, pwede ra ka magkapangihi masig asa, di ba? Right? Right?
I love the example.
I know, right?
I love the example.
But seriously, man, I mean, I am just trying to inhabit the mind of the caveman or the first man.
Lagi.
Baski asa ko malibang pwede ra kay wa may
laing tao.
Wa may laing tao, di ba? I can even rational fertilizer na para sa mga tanom diya, di ba? Pero naaday kay silingan di. Hoy, kinsa man ni dire then the rules start being developed na nga no pooping in this area because ako aning lugar, di ba?
Lagi.
So
ako aning lugar kulatahon ti ka akong libag ka.
So mo gid siguro na ang ato ang kaning more idea of freedom because daghan naman kaayo ta sa tanan sa kalibutan, 8 billion strong naman ta. So the more I think we think about kaning freedom, independence and kanang nga word nga madunggan ako pirmi karong adlaw, especially with kaning the West China Sea, sa taksak to ba na West China Sea?
West Philippine Sea, South China.
Sorry ba bro, na pro-bridging na ko ba da.
Gihatag naman nimo. Gihatag naman nimo sa ila.
Sorry ba. Wa pa ko naka-declare sa akong mga fellow men pero ako nang nabaligya ang Pilipinas sa China. Kanang sovereignty mga word ba? Sovereignty. Di ba?
Sovereignty.
So unsa man sa nang sovereignty ba kay dili man na makaon ko ng sovereignty ba? Unsa man ang sovereignty ba? Unsa man
Mainom man na.
unsa may nakalahi sa sovereignty og sa independence and freedom. Unsa may nakalahi niya na? Unsa may isa
Di man na makaon kay mainom man na.
mainom ng
Tea.
sovereignty.
Tea.
Sovereignty. Lahi sa nang sabot ay. Sabot. Ay atuwar tong sekreto ba? Ako nang nibligyan. Ni Koy man ko ni Lolo Trump. Ako ang nitago-tago ra man ko niya. Luyo ko ni Elon Musk og ni Trump.
Ay, okay.
Ako nang gigaanog kaning kontrata si kinsa na niya? Si
Xi Jinping.
Xi Jinping ba? Pila ka bilyonis.
Anya naratanan bilyones sa imong
Oh,
bulsa.
natanan diri.
Okay, so back sa question. Ang sovereign differential
unsa
sa sovereignty.
nakalahi ng sovereignty og independence,
Independence,
and freedom kana mga highfalutin words bang di ko kasabot, di ko ka-spell na gali.
Oh, okay. Freedom pa de, freedom. I think freedom and independence kay na ay similarity ra gyapon pero anyway, because as you know, it's as they say, the words are there and they're different for a reason.
Yeah,
so
of course.
mutan ata sa Google kung unsay maingon ni Google.
Sige.
So according kay Google, ang sovereignty kay it's the supreme absolute power of a state or governing body to rule itself without outside interference. So it is a legal and political status a nation has that is exclusive authority to enforce laws, manage its territory, and control its government. So ang pasabot today sa sovereignty kay it's mainly ang legal and political status nga a nation has to enforce its own laws and manage its own territory without outside nga interference. So manang sovereignty.
Mo ang sovereignty.
Mhm.
So kanang independence, what is that?
Ang independence, on the other hand, kay is the external state of not being subject to the control, authority, or influence of another nation or entity. While a sovereign country is technically independent, an independent nga entity is simply free from external rule. For example, a state can declare independence to break free from a colonial power, but it requires sovereignty to function as a fully recognized nation state. So there is a bit of overlap, pero ang independence it doesn't necessarily apply only to a country. It can also apply to you as an individual, as an entity here in like we can say nga Jiggy is independent from Raf kay dili man siya subuan ni Raf.
But I can say I am a sovereign to you.
Yeah, but you can't say nga you're my sovereign because you are not a nation state. Kana.
Okay, so kanang sovereignty spelled with a TY playo. Ayo mi tuloy og rasayo prop sa garbo. Dili man na mainom ang sovereignty ko. Dili man na tiyago noon sa Miss Rafoy.
Sorry nga crave lang yung cha karon.
So kaning sovereignty only applies to nations, right? The word sovereignty cannot be applied to individuals.
Yeah. So basically, ang sovereignty political and legal status of a nation, and then independence, it's the state of not being subject to control.
Kanus man na mas sovereign ang usa ka nasod. Kinsa may mo decide nga sovereign ang usa ka nasod?
Well,
once they've earned their independence,
once they've
sovereign na sila.
Once they've declared independence, and then they've set up their own governing body. Kana makaingon na siguro ka nga sovereign.
Grabe man kay nangalalis good, especially kanang nahitabo sa ICC ba, di ba nga sovereign and all that stuff, right?
Yeah. Not just that, pero in a lot of cases, but like with regards Taiwan versus China nga situation po nga ni-declare sila independence pero wala gidawat sa China.
Yeah. So ang Taiwan is practicing sovereignty from China, right?
Yeah, but independence from China, it's trying to set up its own sovereign nga nation.
So would you, because from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong again, kaning Taiwan, ang passport ni mo there's like one passport naman, diba? Nga murag they're still part of China ba? ang Taiwan when it comes to your passport, I think.
Really?
Makalusot-lusot naman siguro ka na. Dili man siguro kinahanglan kag
I
separate.
think Chinese Taipei ang nakasuwat niya dito.
Oh, pero
I
murag usara gyud na kakuan, murag usara na ka passport siguro, I think. If I'm I could be wrong ba. Kaya
I'm not sure about that.
Namugutoy kaning usa ka video nga nakita anak ko nga naay usa ka murag tourist ba nga niglabang-labang siya sa Taiwan ug sa China. Anyway, so as long as this continues on, whatever their relationship is, Taiwan and China, they will continue to be sovereign, right?
Which one?
Ang Taiwan, and vice versa. Like they're sovereign states, right?
Yeah, they're sovereign states. Pero wala lang gidawat ni China ang Declaration of Independence.
So the question is, kung naay mo dawat, kinsa man di ay mo dawat di ay pananglitan ang Pilipinas. Nag-ingon ta nga sovereign state ta. Kinsa man itong tagaan sa ato ang Declaration of Sovereignty, ang tanang nasud sa kalibutan.
Yeah, basically.
Pretty much. So is that a theory or is that something we physically send to all nations of the world that I am a sovereign state?
Feel ko like it's largely an informal nga agreement nga mag-declare ka anya mo na mga
sa UN siguro, UN siguro, di ba?
Maybe kay that's one avenue of doing it. Pero maybe right now like you could do it online. You could just make the declaration online and then people on the other nations are just gonna be like, okay.
Thumbs up, right? Thumbs up.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
i-like di mo, di ba?
Yeah, okay.
Pero kung patong walay wifi nga nasod niya paghuman, wa na kadungog sa ilahang
kay mo jud sila sa UN.
Adto ko sa Pilipinas, dili man ni sovereign ng Pilipinas. So kinang lang gyud siguro nagi official declaration of sovereignty, di ba?
Siguro, yeah.
So,
and
but I
the
don't-
UN is maybe the best place to do
But
that.
why don't we celebrate our sovereignty instead of independence ba? I'm curious ba, like it seems to me nga sovereignty is a murag mas bugat man siguro ng sovereignty kaysa independence, di ba? Sovereignty Day, whatever. I mean, like I'm just thinking about those two words ba. Nganong di man ta mag-celebrate sa atong sovereignty, dili man nganong independence man atong i-celebrate.
Well,
Happy
I guess
Sovereignty Day or something. I don't know.
probably because our independence is what led to our sovereignty. So we declared our independence and then we formed our own sovereign governing body. Kana. Siguro that's how I understand it at the very least.
So kung hibong mo sa akong gisgutan karong adlaw, murag sobraan siguro may kape karong adlaw niya si Ralph ang iyang products, ang buhok siguro nasuod siyang utok. Mo nang among gisgutan karong adlaw kaning Independence Day and why should we celebrate Independence Day? Ang usa sa mga pinakadako gyud nga pinakabugat gyud nga rason nga mag-celebrate taong Independence Day nato. We're celebrating our national identity to remind citizens of a shared history and what unites them as a nation. So muna ang ato ang silbing the story of us, the story of the Philippines. Nga, back in 1898, in June 12, gitagaan ta og freedom sa atong mga colonizers and so on and so forth. So mura siya ang atong shared story, our national identity. Sige naman tag-hisgot ni Anis, ha? But I want to discuss this again this morning. Unsa man gyud ay ng national identity? Unya nganong importante man na? Nganong importante nga natay national identity? Again, makao ng national identity, makao mainom gyapon, di ba? Kay identity man, di ba?
Timan. Oh,
So unsa mag yun ang national identity ba? Nya nganong importante man? Nganong dagwa ko yung national identity?
I think it's importante siya kay it's something that's supposed to unify us. Ang pinakadako nga problema po nato diri sa Pilipinas is we are archipelagic. So ang kadaghanan sa atong mga kaigsuonan kay lagyo kayo.
Nas Bohol.
Naiuban nga nas Bohol, naiuban nga nasa
kadaghanan nas Bohol.
Luzon.
Bohol na poros eh.
Bohol na lang puros. Tanan nasa Bohol. Wala. White tao sa Luzon, white tao sa Mindanao.
So
Nasa Bohol.
buwag-buwag na tadaan, right?
Oh yeah, basically buwag
na tadaan pag human. How can we have a national identity when all of us, each one of us, have our own identities as Cebuanos, as
Boholanos,
di ba?
Yeah, as Butuanons, as Surigaonons.
Dako kayong problema ba, di ba?
Oh.
So mas lisod gyud ay i-unite ang usa ka nasod nga archipelagic
Yeah, basically. And I think this is true for tanan nga mga nasod. Dili lang jud ang mga nasod nga parehas nato nga archipelagic. This is true for all countries. I think it's probably I would argue nga this is probably the biggest reason gani why the US for the longest time, in spite of the fact nga dako kay sila landmass, lagyo pud kay sila from one another, you could actually argue nga in each state they have their own like subcultures within it. Kay people in Texas talk differently from people from in
Mga accent nila, di ba?
in San Francisco mga
Southern twang, di ba?
yeah kana kailangan
Mga cowboy, di ba?
yeah exactly. And because of these subtle differences, maybe there's cause for what do you call this conflict. But because they used to have a very strong national identity that united all of them basically. So when it came down to it, at the end of the day, they all viewed themselves as Americans. And I think this is something we lack here a bit.
Well, the United States, although it's a big piece of land, it's not wala man siya gabuwag-buwag, di ba? Ang nabuwag di Hawaii raman o kaning Alaska siguro, di ba?
Yeah.
But
basically.
Most of the United States is one
Connected.
big chunk of land, di ba?
Yeah, it's all connected.
So masayon sila nga makigsuri-suroy sa ilahang different states, di ba? Kumpara sa Pilipinas kay
there's that. Yeah.
magbarko pa man ta, di ba? Usahay mag-eroplano pa.
Oh yeah, but you still have to travel. Like if you want to travel to all 50 states, it's still a big task.
Yeah,
it's a Herculean task.
Yeah.
And how do you connect all 50 of those states together? And then it's really that national identity.
Mo nang federal ilahang government, di ba?
Oh,
Kay
yeah.
each state has their own set of rules, di ba?
Basically, but the federal government is supposed to tie them all together.
Na
supposedly.
federal law nga marag all-encompassing na po
Yes,
state laws, di ba? So,
So
parang litan na mahibong lang ka nganong ang marijuana legal sa
dire.
certain states, di ba?
yeah, illegal sa pikas.
Naghinomdom ko na ako'y amigo nga kaning musmagol na siya og saba. Musmagol na siya og kaning mga bala gikan sa Vegas. Iyang dadon mo palit siya gikan sa Vegas mo tabok siya sa iyang lugar kay murag di siya makapalit og bala sa iyang state or something like that ba. Ana bitaw? So weird kina ba, di ba? Di ba kana let's talk about something more sensitive, kan abortion, di ba? Nay ubang state nga illegal na siya. So
yeah.
kung ganahan ka magpa-abort pananglitan, simba ko you don't have to do it and that's another story, but moadto ka lang state, di ba? Para maka-perform sila og legal abortion in that particular state. So weird kayo ba nga magtabok-tabok ka kung naay mga balaod nga dili ka mo dili kang panty sa imong ganang buhaton, di ba?
Yeah,
so
basically.
ang uban nga mga tao mobalhin na lang sila og lugar nga ang balaod mas friendly niya, di ba? Kung ganahan jud kay kag jutes, kung ganahan jud kay kag kaning marijuana, then mupuyo na lang ka dito sa lugar nga.
Kung ganahan kag nakaipusil mo ato kag Texas.
Oo, ana, di ba? So depende lang na sa imuhang personalidad, di ba? Imuhang mga So diri sa Pilipinas ba dili man tayo inana ba, di ba? Ang ato ang balaod usara. So tanan nga balaod unsay deklarar sa gobyerno sa Pilipinas mo'y balaod sa tibuok Pilipinas.
Yeah.
So di ba naaman to'y murag movement to federalize the Philippines?
There was.
Nakadungog ka na ba?
Yeah, makadumdum pa ko. That was part of like I think that was like one of the campaign promises ni Duterte sa 2016 campaign. Yeah, it's one of the things that I can remember and
it makes sense actually.
It makes a lot of sense.
So why didn't it not gain traction ba? I'm curious ba because like he was a very popular president and all of that stuff. Nganong unsa may kaning mura og resistance ani niya. Nganong kinsa may mo resist aning kaning federalization or federal government. Nganong di maganahan ang mga tao niya. Kay nakadungog ko nga mas grabe masayon hinon ang kaning pagkawat. Ang corruption mas grabe man kay biyaan man ang state silbi ang sa usaklo ang mayor or whatever the governor biyaan man sa national government, so to each his own ang wild west na kuno I don't know.
But I can definitely see where that's coming from, and I wala sad ko kay baw unsay nahitabo ato nga push kay it was something that was talked about a lot pod sa katong time. And one of the biggest nga people who were pushing for that was the ARMM. Excuse me, the Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao. And the biggest reason for that is because they want to implement Sharia law. And the Muslim nga laws, religious laws, they want to implement that. And I genuinely don't remember unsay nahitabo sa push for it, because it was there for a while. I remember a lot of people were talking about it. They were talking about the benefits of it, and it made a lot of sense to me. And then nothing happened.
Yeah.
I just don't know. And then you could say Duterte was very popular president, but at the end of the day, he only got like 30% of the votes. Jud.
Yeah, I guess.
So
I guess
that was enough to give him a majority, but at the same
to
time,
enough to give him a win, but not necessarily the majority.
of the country.
Yeah.
It was enough to get him the
So
win, but not the majority of the country.
I completely forgot about the fact nga kaning Mindanao ba kaning hisgot mo og RMN. How autonomous is Mindanao? Is not autonomous to the Philippines, right?
Yeah, it's
not right.
It's
but
not.
but culturally man good ang feeling nako when I read stories about Mindanao, lahi gyud kayo ang kultura sa Mindanao from the Visayas and Mindanao, and part of that kuno is our colonizers were not able to fully colonize, if they colonized it at all, ang Mindanao. Tungod kay ang akong nabasahan sa nadunggan ako, murang until now I still think like this, ng mga isog kuno kay itong mga taga Mindanao nga wala kuno nakasugakod ang mga Spaniards kuno nga murag grabe na kayo, entrenched na kayo ilang Islam, ang ilang kultura dito nga murag naglisod gyud sila og convert Mindanao into a place nga they can rule and control.
Roman Catholic, basically.
Di ba? So is our colonial past, his colonial history, part of the reason ngano nga murag medyo buwag yung kaining Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao tungod kay ang Luzon, Visayas na control sila because of Christianity, na ay murag control mechanism ba, pero ang Mindanao murag wala. So murag mo siguro na nga nganong until now we're still feeling the repercussions of that.
I don't know actually kay I don't remember much pod about sa ako mga history nga lessons.
Hoy, kung naamoy mga ikasalmot diha, kung naamoy mga participation, kung naamoy nga mga natay mga amigo diha nga wala nang atog sa ilang history class, palihog join us in our conversation. Just comment your suggestions and comments and your concerns, your shout outs sa ato ang TMC 105.1 FM sa Kibaw?
FM, yeah. Pwede po mo comments sa atong YouTube live and of course atong TikTok live at Tops Media Center.
Or pwede mo text na mo, basig tagaan mo Gcash ni Ralph ani 0999 8876070. That's 0999 8876070. Text us if you have anything to contribute kay murag ang amoang kaning
nahibawan.
Ang amoang knowledge sa history murag taphaw ra kayo. Ang ako among kuan ba, ang ako yung philosophy ba sa kilibuhi ba is happiness is forgetfulness. So ganahan ka nga dili ka maka-feel sa trauma sa gibuhat sa imong mga colonial masters, kalimti na lang do.
Kalimti na lang.
Pero sige man ko pabasahon ko ganang no limit ang hiri, el filibusterismo, so mahinumdum na sa go. So nabuang giunsa man sa mga Espanyol, oy nabuang man din sila, oy. Ana bitaw, so mo nang kalimot ko ba kay part of my coping mechanism ba is forgetfulness is happiness. Right? So wala ko ninumduman sa atong Philippine history.
ang problema dira if madani mo ang imong pagka-forgetful sa uban nga aspects imong kinabuhi.
Oh, who are you? Where's my horse, di ba?
Lagi. Asa naman to ako gibutan ko cellphone, nawa naman to.
Alzheimer's na ba? Dili na forgetfulness.
Next level na
siya. So, what are we talking about? Nakalimot na nung so
di ba nakalimot na?
Nakalimot na ko because I'm forgetful. Yeah, I'm happy di.
We're very happy people mo na makalimot da.
Yeah. So mo lagi ba nga ang Mindanao di ay because wala kayo siya na convert sa mga Spaniards. Mo din nga lahi gyud kayo ilang kultura sa Visayas ug Mindanao. Mo na siya nga medyo pirmi lang ng the perception is murag pirmi lang na ay kagubot sa Mindanao compared to di ba nagdikan kay mga rebuilde and all of that stuff, right? Dito sa Mindanao it's considered manggali by some people as the backdoor of the Philippines, di ba? Na yung mga uban nga mga kaning mga mo eskapo sa balaod, mga
Mato dito.
adtong Mindanao para makagawa unsa kay na Borneo ba na di ba? Asa kay nang unsa kay na closest Asian neighbor na to diya sa may Mindanao bita?
I'm not sure actually.
So
Di na ko inom no.
imo sang geography
Basta ka
natog sa kasi imong geography. Ha?
Wala. Wa ko ni sod sa geography.
Watch ka ni sud.
Ako ni tog. Wa ko ni sod.
Sige lang kag
Nihawa ko.
sige lang ayos imong buhok na. Grabe kay ka-focus imong buhok atong
Yeah, siguro.
So anyway, usa na sa mga rason ngano nga ang atong identity as a nation is not very cohesive is because number one, archipelagic ta, buwag-buwag ta, 7,107 islands. Number two, ang level of conversion because of the archipelagicness of the Philippines, ang pag-convert sa mga atong colonizers sa mga Spaniards dili complete. So naiuban nga mga lugar siguro nga very Christian, very Roman Catholic, but naapoy usa ka lugar sa Pilipinas, in this case Mindanao, nga medyo wala kayo na convert. So manang strong ka ilahang Islam, or maybe because their Islam is so strong in the area na wala gyud na convert, because I think nanam siguro nanam gyud probably other kaning nations ba nga ni convert gyud nila, because how did they find Islam, right?
Yeah.
Dili gyud na sila mga agikan sa Spain, right? Kay Spain's operating system was Christianity, di ba? At that time,
Roman Catholicism.
Roman Catholic ang mga Espanyol, di ba?
Mhm.
So mo nang
Kay,
wag ite
I
one
think,
one identity.
Yeah, kan man jud like a lot of what was introduced to Mindanao or to the Philippines in general kay gikan sa mga neighbors nato nga traders. So we had a lot of traders who came in, who brought in different goods and all that, and some of them brought in their own belief systems as well, and that did include nga Islam.
Nakinomdom ko when I went to Palawan nga murag daghan kaayong Vietnamese kaning influence ang Palawan, I think na
Really?
architecture nga murag Vietnamese. I think murag inana ba nga murag daghan kaayo nga mga other Asian influence bitaw in Mindanao bitaw compared to the Visayas and Luzon bitaw.
Napoy mga ladyboy dito.
Ladyboy. Namay ladyboy daghan sa kalibutan man namay kang ladyboy diri sa TMC gali.
Yala, karon pa ko.
Dili lang na to ikuan, dili lang to.
Karon pa ko.
Basig dili pa siya kon ready. Atong hisgutan karon adlaw. Why are we celebrating Independence Day? What the hell is that, man? Why is that a big freaking deal? It's even a holiday, right?
It is a holiday. Yeah.
Usapod kuno ka rason nga na mo celebrating Independence Day is honor sacrifice. The celebration recognizes the people who fought, struggled, or negotiated for freedom. But if there's one figure of history that you can attribute our freedom to, if you only had to name one, who is it in your perception ba? Kinsa yung pinaka bugat yun nga naka-contribute sa atong freedom? Because ang atong national hero si Jose Rizal, di ba?
Yeah.
So is that who gave us our freedom? If we had to pin it down to one person, I know it's a collaborative effort. Many
it was
people,
a huge effort.
many people fought for our freedoms. But if there was one person, is it Jose Rizal?
Yeah, I definitely say it's Jose Rizal. Just in terms of like ang iyang execution was the basically the catalyst for a lot of cascading events that basically led up to the Spaniards being like, yeah, you know what, we don't want this anymore. Let's the Americans want it. Let's just negotiate a deal with them. We'll get money out of it, and then
I hear a story. It was Jose Rizal was handpicked by the United States as our national hero because he was a peace-loving person. What do you have to say to that?
Okay, that's interesting. So basically ang nipuli sa mga Spaniards kaya mga
Amerikano man. So, gipilian tawag national hero nga
push pa nila ang idea nga si Jose Rizal ang national hero nato because he was a pacifist, largely a pacifist. I think that's a very interesting
kinsa man kabay kung dili si Jose Rizal, kinsa kang number 2 pagtanaw mo si Bonifacio?
Kung dili si Jose Rizal.
kung dili pa ang Amerikano ni pili sa atong national hero, kinsa ka mas maayo si Ralph Chavez dili sad. Dili sad siguro.
Dili. Pangit nagdong.
Dili man na panungan na pagpupuhay din ang national hero day.
Apil na. Chicks boy beto si Kuan sa Rizal.
Bito sa Chicks Boy to si Rizal. Part na di ay.
Party.
So pag hinahinay no pag Chicks Boy di para ma-national hero mo. Sa man nga kuan ay nga rational eh. So
It makes sense.
Andes Bonifacio? Kinsa may mga hero diha?
Actually, wala pa jud in ako na.
So si Rizal lagi na program jud ka nga si Rizal gid among national hero.
Ni dawat ra ko sa ilang propaganda.
O sapod sa mga rason nganong we should celebrate our Independence Day this June 12 Friday to celebrate our sovereignty. Now, marks the country's right to govern itself and make its own decisions. So kanang sovereignty ba? Can you please help me understand the word sovereignty in the light of globalization now, right? Because more and more we are so interconnected. Now, whatever happens in Iran happens to the Philippines, right?
Na-effect
yun. And it's not just some residual effect. Grabe juga ang tibuok kalibutan mo. Mura og kaning mag-crisis, di ba? Naay nag-away nga tulo ka naso dito, maapil ta diri watay labot murag mapagan ta ba.
Yeah.
So kanang sovereignty nga atong gisgutan ba in the light of globalization, how relevant is that still?
Well, I think in the light of
Is more relevant more than
I think
ever?
it's more important.
Why
More than ever.
Why is our sovereignty and then not just the Philippines sovereignty but the sovereignty of nations more and more important now more than ever in the light of globalization?
Because you see this time and time again nga, in the wake of globalization you have these what do you call this, these first world countries that try to impose their will put on third world countries, or countries that don't have the same amount of resources, the same amount of sway in the international community. You see a lot of them who will push for laws that benefit themselves in these third world countries, and then to the benefit primarily of the first world countries compared to the actual country that the laws are being implemented in. You have larger countries that take advantage of loose labor laws in kining mga third world countries, and then they push for political candidates in those countries to keep those labor laws loose. And what happens is that
what's the example of that? Because akong nahibawan nga ang labor laws might be construed as loose if you compare it to, let's say, the Western labor laws.
Yes, exactly.
Is China, diba? Diba China?
Not just China.
No, but what I'm saying is, let's talk about that in particular because China is the manufacturing center of gravity, right?
Yes.
So kanang China, grabe kaayo siya ka barato kunuhay ang ilang labor salary, diba? Kumpara mo sa Amerika, and it might be construed as kaning unjust ba, diba? But we're comparing the standards of the West and the standards of Asia. Now, I don't see the United States influencing the elections of China to make sure nga that Chinese manufacture their cars and other stuff, their clothes and all of that stuff para cheap ang mga auto or mga sanina sa kalibutan. No country is trying to control China, right?
Yeah, I'm not because China is not a third world country.
Okay,
they identify themselves as a third world country, but they're not.
They were until they're not, right?
They were, but now they generally cannot call themselves a third world country.
What are you talking about when you say nga naay actual governments? Let's just say the United States, which is the most powerful nation in the world, as pronounced by Donald Trump. I don't know if it's still true, but Africa. So kanang Africa, that is probably one of the poorest regions of the world,
yes.
And
a lot of African countries have very loose labor laws and tungod ana na mga child laborers.
Because
I think I don't know like if these are the reasons why they started, Pero the labor laws existed, they were that loose, and then ang nahitabo is that you have a lot of foreign interests who are basically pushing to keep those labor laws loose because they benefit a lot from them. So China does it, America does it. I don't know which other European countries
So you're
do it.
saying China and the United States are trying to tinker with the politics in Africa so that they will be benefited from the cheap labor laws.
Yes.
Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes.
Okay.
This is something that a lot of people have talked about as well.
Okay.
And then,
So, but I don't hear like by as much that in Africa makes anything like we all know nga tanaw kasi mong labels imong sanina either it's made in China, made in Vietnam, made in Indonesia, made in Sri Lanka, but I never hear like made in China. What is it that the Africans make that they sell to the world? Because I'm not aware of it.
well, supposedly, actually, this is something very interesting that I learned recently as well. Supposedly, the best way to build up your manufacturing is to get into textiles.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and Africa did have like its own booming, growing textile industry.
Yeah, yeah.
That basically got destroyed because they cannot compete with
China.
free.
Oh.
There's a lot of
They cannot
freely donated clothes that
kani.
goes into Africa.
Kanang mga donation, kanang
yeah,
mga-
mga donations from like
Salvation Army, ana.
Salvation Army and all these other NGOs,
So, but what
non-profit organizations.
but what is it that Africa makes?
Well,
If you're saying the world is benefiting, the first world countries are benefiting from the cheap labor laws of
Okay,
Africa,
sorry.
what do they make?
it's not about what they make; it's about what they mine. Rare earth minerals. So there's rare earth minerals that are being mined in Africa, and a lot of children are actually doing a lot of the mining there as well.
And like I heard there's a movie with Leonardo DiCaprio called Blood Diamond, diba?
Yeah, na po na.
So diamonds po, diba?
Yeah, there's that.
So grabe kayo ang labor laws for minerals. So you can't see a label in a diamond, right? Although probably may bawaan na nimo nga get protest against you don't buy blood diamond or something like that, right? And kanang mga rare earth minerals, mga raw man na siya. So wala label. So kita as consumers we dita makibaw kung asa nagikan. So Africa ni nagikan di ay.
Yeah.
Kanang rare earth minerals mo man ay gamit sa atong mga cellphone batteries, di ba?
Yeah,
And electric cars, di ba? And so on and so forth, di ba?
For mga computer components.
Abi magyunako bay nga mo nay rason nga, di ba? Since we're talking about sovereignty and independence and first world countries nga China nakalamang sa United States because they mine their own kaning rare earth minerals. They have more rare earth minerals there in China compared to the United States. So dili they from China, nagikan nila sa Africa di ay lang.
No, they have their own, but at the same time they also dip into trade with Africa. Yeah, pero
but they have their own.
From what I know, they do have their own.
So kanang rare earth minerals ba, is that something that is endemic to an area? Or is it just a matter of time if you have the technology and the know-how? You can find it in your backyard lang.
I genuinely have no idea. Dili ko makatubagan. Unfortunately, I'm not the right person to ask that question.
I'm curious about that, right? Because grabe mo kanang rare earth minerals that they use for kaning electric cars and
batteries
and kaning even
chips.
microchips, right?
Yes.
And the reason why this is important because kaning rare earth minerals will be the next fuel, the next oil, di ba? I'm sure there will be conflicts based on rare earth minerals. Not in the same way.
There already are.
Yeah, there already are, right? But
are.
not yet to this magnitude ba, di ba?
Yeah, basically.
Nga pwede eventually siguro nga na Strait of Hormuz siguro of rare earth minerals, di ba? Nga sirad-an na pod by somebody, di ba?
Basin matakibaw.
So peligro kaining rare earth minerals nga this will be another cause of conflict. Now, kung naara ni sa tibuok kalibutan, it's just a matter of time and technology and know-how and resources poured nga makakita ra ta og atong kaugalingon nga rare earth minerals, then that's probably good news, right? But to find out nga kaning it's only in specific areas kanang diamond ba pananglitan wa medyo nakadungog na diamond mine diri sa Cebu ba o sa Pilipinas na ba diamond mine sa Cebu, Pilipinas?
Actually, that's a good question. Kay wala sad ko kay bao.
Murag wa man gyud, di ba? So maybe kanang diamond wa gyud siguro.
I think na.
Na
Pero I know there are people who try to dig for diamonds here, pero I don't know if there's a
Nisu
diamond
nisuway
mine.
man ko guan ba nisuway man ko kaut og diamond sa mo ang backyard ba wa man gyud ba? Sa muka lagi ba sige kog pangutkot og diamond ba kay ganahan ta kog mo regalo og diamond sa akong inahan ba? Wa gyud ko lawom na kay akong gikutkot sa kuan ba sa amo ang backyard ba wa gyud diamond.
Okay. So wala tayong mga commercial nga mines dire sa Pilipinas that look for diamonds. Yeah.
Mm.
We are rich in metallic minerals like gold, copper, and nickel. The specific geological conditions required to form the deposit natural diamonds do not exist within the Philippine archipelago.
So kanang ato ang sovereignty di ay is I think also tied to our ability to take care of ourselves, di ba? Kung naay mga butang pananglitan kanang gihisgot nimo nga mga rare earth minerals and other stuff that we need from other parts of the world, then we start to compromise, di ba? Nga pwede nga kaning tagaan minimo gamay nga mag-import mo diri og mag-import ko og the rare earth minerals in exchange for something, of course maybe kwarta, di ba? Like paliton lang, di ba? Mo import og stuff, di ba? So magsalig ta og mga materyales o uban pa sa ubang nasod. Does that make us less sovereign ba? Kung pananglitan nagsalig ta sa daghan-daghan nga mga nga nasod para ta makakaon, para ta makadagan ang atong mga sakyanan, para mabuhi ta as a nation. Does that make us less sovereign if grabe kay ta ka-dependent og natural resources and other goods from other countries? Murag dependent ra kay ta sa tanan ba? Is that part of the idea of sovereignty? Kay makontrol naman ta pananglitan. Kung kanang hitabo karon,
Yeah.
di ba nga di mo tagaan ako guan kaning ako i-block ang Strait of Hormuz pananglitan, di ba niya? Ang inyohang mga karang gitawag nilang trade embargo, di ba?
Yeah.
Nga i-choke niya ang usa ka nasod para mo surrender, di ba? So pasabot niya na day kung dili ka self-sufficient as a nation, you become less sovereign. You're more susceptible to control of outside forces
Yeah.
because you cannot take care of your own country,
Basically, yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
importante di ay sad nga ang usa ka nasod self-sufficient
Yes.
to practice sovereignty.
Yeah,
right?
basically. And then one ang reason pod nga kan we sovereignty I think is much more of an important concept now in the wake of globalization because because we need to be able to fight for our own rights as a nation. And then ang mahitabo with globalization is that sometimes mas prioritize nila ang global community. Unya, what if ang pag-prioritize nila sa global community kita ang lugi? Mudawat mo ana? Ako kay dili. Bala na sila. I don't care. I don't care. I'd much rather the Philippines thrives than suffers just for the world to thrive. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Pero grabe mo kita ka-interconnected, Bego, di ba? Nga,
Uh,
grabe kita ka-interconnected.
maybe we need to reduce it.
So you're saying kaning ato ang pagka-global community should be tempered with unsa man? Nationalism?
Yeah,
Huh?
we need
Nation-
a certain level of nationalism.
So-
Each country needs a certain level of nationalism.
So what's a healthy level of nationalism ba? Unsa may imong tan-aw nga mura og makabenepisyo ang imong nasod, ang imong mga katawhan malipay, pero dili sa makig-away og ugban nga nasod.
Yeah,
Unsa may
for sure.
healthy level of nationalism? Is nationalism even possible now in this highly globalized community of nations?
I think it's most definitely possible.
So how do you
And-
unsa ka healthy ba? Unsa ka healthy dose of nationalism?
I think a healthy degree of nationalism would be kanang you put you give yourself a certain level of pride in being born in the country that you were born in. If you're born in the Philippines, be a proud Filipino. And then you use that identity as a unifying force for everybody else who was born and raised in the country as well. And outside of that, you protect the interests not just of yourself, but the interests of your fellow Filipinos. So it's one way to fight for it's a one driving force to fight for better laws, better implementation of laws, better treatment of your fellow Filipinos, your fellow countrymen. So I think there's a certain level of nationalism that's fairly healthy for a country to have, and for for a citizens for any citizen group to have, Jud. Especially in the wake of globalization, where sometimes it feels like gina-prioritize yun nila ang kanang global nga scene compared sa imong country.
You know, the Philippines has been known to have humans as our best exports, right? Kani nga ang atong contribution sa kalibutan
Nurse.
is because we don't make anything, although we make people, and
We're very good at making people.
and then we let them work abroad, right? And have them send us dollars and money, right? So
Basically.
it has kaning allowed us huge amounts of money by the billions, right?
Mhm.
And it is actually a huge percentage of our GDP, di ba? Kanang mga
Mm.
OFWs, di ba?
Yes.
So kana bang the mentality of a good fraction of the population ba nga mularga bitaw?
Mm.
That's not nationalism, right? Or is that a form of nationalism? Can you do some mental gymnastics and consider that a nationalistic act of working abroad?
Well, I don't think so. I don't think so necessarily. I mean, you could make the argument, you're helping improve
economy.
the economy. So there's that. And unfortunately, it's just as of right now, it's one of the best
Yeah.
ways to do
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
to help add to the economy. And maybe in that sense, you could argue it's very nationalistic. Pero ideally, we're not constantly sending our specialists, all of our experts, be they medical experts, be they financial experts, be they we need our
Mga bright boys.
mga bright boys
Oo.
diri sa Pilipinas.
Bright girls,
That
diba?
way we can improve the country. Ang problema lang dyan is that unfortunately a lot of people here in the Philippines feel like walay pag-asa ang Pilipinas.
ang-
Manang mo hawa na lang
Ang
sila.
ako sang malibugan ba is lagi we need the best and the brightest to help the country improve, right?
Mhm.
Pero kaning atong mga breast Sorry ba. Kani Freudian slip to ba. Kani atong mga best o brightest ba. They don't go to school here. We don't make the best and the brightest here, right? They have to, just like Jose Rizal went to Europe to go to school, right? Kaning best and brightest na to, dili man yung eskwela diri, they have to go to the best schools in Beijing, in the United States, in Europe, di ba? And then,
not always.
so kinsa man ni atong mga best and the brightest, and why can we make? Are you confident in saying bang we can make the best and the brightest, not the breast, but the best and the brightest homegrown?
Well, why can't we have breasts that are homegrown?
Sa mukha, eh. Naman dagang kuan naman nas daga stylean ko no, mas barato ko na stylean ko no.
Sa mukha. For yeah, I think to a certain level we can, and it requires us to also improve our education,
Correct.
education system
Yeah,
first
yeah,
and foremost, and then improving work conditions here and living conditions here. Kana.
Pero can we? Are we capable?
No,
Ah,
of course we're capable.
kay kadaghanan sa ato mga bright boys kuy gikan ni siya gikan ni siya Stanford, gikan Harvard, gikan West Point, di ba?
Wala na.
So-
that's
are-
just the prestige behind the
Yeah,
name.
but are we capable of fully educating a smart person, a bright boy or bright girl, just within the confines of our educational system?
Yes, I think we are. We most definitely are.
Okay,
There's
okay.
a lot that needs to be improved.
Okay.
Pero I think we're more than capable of it.
Okay, so pwede ra gyud nga maghimo
Mm.
ta katong bright boy o bright girl diri.
Pwede rin
Ra,
ganda.
dili na paskwelaon mo sa gawas, di ba?
Yeah.
Pero nakabantay sa gubay nga even nations like China,
Mhm.
Singapore, Thailand, kanang mga ginaingon na to mga progressive nations of Asia ba.
Mhm.
Ila man pong dadon nilang mga anak
Abroad.
paskwelahon po nila sa
Yes.
gawas, di ba?
Aha.
Nganong man na bay? Nganong importante man na para sa usa ka nasod nga naay maka-eskwela sa Harvard, sa unsa pa na diha, mga prestigious nga schools, sa Brown University. Nganong importante man na for a nation? Let's just say ang plano plano sa nasod is dadon na siya diri ibalik na siya diri niya iyang nakatunan sa Harvard or Stanford or Princeton or whatever prestigious university there is, iyang i-apply ang iyang nakatunan sa West diri sa Pilipinas para mo lambo ang Pilipinas. Does that work?
Well, first and foremost, I think dili man jud ma-deny nga there are other education systems in the world that are more advanced than our own.
Okay.
So that's another reason why there's kanang mga scholars who study abroad are considered a premium. And I can understand why people push for that. And another thing is like the prestige of the name of these educational institutions as well. Harvard, Princeton. There's others as well that outside of the U.S. that are considered very prestigious universities globally, and it's just having that name behind you makes you respectable within the global community as well. So it's not just your scholar is a smart person like in practice, pero naa sila prestige behind sa ilang ka-bright. Basically, mo nang goal basically for countries that push for students to study abroad in these prestigious educations. It's really the prestige.
Really? It's just prestige?
Yes.
Really?
It's primarily prestige.
So you're saying walay kalahian ang usa ka graduate diri sa Ateneo, sa UP, sa LaSalle compared to let's say somebody who graduates from another prestigious university in Europe or the United States. Walay kalahian.
If ang applied nga if the level of application is the same.
What do you mean level of application?
Well, you're learning a lot of
Even
things
like
theoretical.
Same course, you mean?
Yeah. Let's say like that. You're learning a lot of theoretical knowledge there in college, and then it's like if you're able to apply it really well in real life situations, then your educational background doesn't really matter all that much as long as you're actually really smart in your application of this knowledge. So kay kan man jud there are these things na ginaingat pud nila nga college will give you the theoretical knowledge, but it doesn't necessarily prepare you for the real world that well.
In fact, there's already an ongoing argument now that's very kind of prevalent on the internet nga is college even relevant anymore, di ba?
Yeah, is college necessary?
Kay grabe man kayo ka volatile lang ato ang kalibutan karon nga wa ta kibaw unsay mga kurso nga naapay trabaho ini graduate sa mga estudyante because of these new technologies including AI, di ba? So dili na kaayo day importante ang asa ka nga mo eskwela in terms of your college degree, right? So
as long as you're smart enough to apply it really well and you get a decent level of education, then I personally don't think so.
Okay, because maybe the schools don't yet have the capacity to teach something that is still developing, di ba?
Yeah.
Maybe the future job that you'll probably going to be working in, wala pa gay nahimo ang trabaho nimo, ngano mag-offer mo sila kurso niya na, di ba? Pero ini-graduate mo sa imong 4-year course or whatever number of years your course is, naanay trabaho, nawagtang na imong trabaho nga imong gi-eskwelahan, pag humanlain na nga trabaho, right?
Lagi.
So I think that there must be a basic education nga itudlo ba isa? Nga para mahug bitaw nga imuhang knowledge is kaning future proof. Kanang bitong I don't know what it is. Kanang like in my head, like we have to teach our kids resilience. So what does that even mean, right?
Yeah.
Like unsa man like you need to be a jack of all trades, and I don't know, man. Like what do you think is a basic skill by that is future proof? Is there?
Basic skill that's future proof. Reading comprehension.
Reading comprehension. Okay. Kaya pwede raman sad nga maminaw ra siya. Dili na siya mabasa. But you still have to understand it.
Yeah. Basically comprehension. Yeah. Reading, writing comprehension, or listening. The language comprehension, basically.
Okay.
Language comprehension.
That's interesting. So, atong gisgutan karong adlaw is independence, or why are we celebrating Independence Day? We'll be celebrating it together with 105.1 TMC. Independence Day, the Philippine Independence Day tomorrow, this Friday, June 12. In fact, it's a holiday for most people. Another reason by is to teach historical. No, that's why we celebrate Independence Day. Helps younger generations understand how the nation was formed. Ano importante man na ba? Nganong importante man na nga atong mga kabataan makasabot giun sa pagsugod ng atong nasod. Nganong importante man na dili man na magamit nimo kung pangutanon ka sa adto kag laing lugar, di ba? Nga yun sa man pagkatawo sa imong nasod. Unsa man na, how's that relevant? Nganong importante yung nga kibaw ka sa history sa imong nasod?
Well,
Kaya nakay programa like a podcast like what's happening now para kung
nakay masturya.
nakay masturya kung wa kay kalibutan mo mukuan ka mo makahango ka
Oh, lagi.
makanga ka kay wa ka kabaon sa imong isulti.
Yeah, well, outside of that, Guru, outside of that very specific nga example nga imong gihatag, outside of that, I think just having like a base understanding of like how we came to be will help you form your national identity. I think
Help you form your national identity.
Yeah.
Unsa man ang national identity ba? Like how do you describe a national identity? Like maybe you can help describe in words. Like for example, ang ako I kanang parang identity mo ba na I identify as mo ba na siya? Mo ba siya like for example I identify as a woman pananglitan.
Okay. Lahi na po na sexual na po na sexual
No, but
identity po na.
is that the same? Like is that so I identify as a Filipino. Is that what it is? Like
I think it's gonna be different to a certain extent. Your national identity, you're like
unsa ba ng national identity?
it's the best way.
Macao mainom na sana siya, di ba?
Mainom kay tsaa.
Siya, ato magahisgutan sovereignty, mainom. Identity. Puros man yung mga cha. Ba nga ganahan mo kay mga cha ang atong mga words. Ba why do all our words end with T?
Okay, who knows? Pero I actually don't have like my own definition of national identity just yet. So I think I'll just give what Google will say. So i-repeat lang ako.
Sige,
according to Google,
palihog.
according kay Google, ang kanang national identity is a collective sense of belonging to a specific nation or state. It is a multidimensional concept that defines how individuals perceive themselves as part of a cohesive community united by shared cultural markers, historical narratives, and political values. So really, it's just a sense of collective belonging.
A sense of
identity.
collective belonging. Nakainomdom ko si Adeste de Guillermo, one of the treasured artists here in Cebu. Nangutana siya or nangutana kuniya og mga tao nangutana ni unsam din ang Cebuano di ay. Unsam pasabot ang Cebuano. Ang iyang gitubag na ba is it's a decision that you make. You decide to be Cebuano. So
interesting.
Kanang national identity nimo balikar gud og basa gud palihog. Unsa to ba ito? A collective sense of belonging to a so decision sa nimo. What if my collective sense of belonging is, let's just say, Irish pananglitan. Right? Tawa man ka. Ha? Nakapuyo na ko sa Ireland for a long time, right?
Yeah.
For example.
Siguro, yeah. Siguro you could also make that argument.
Pag human, ganahan ko nga mag-Irish lang sure ko eh. So mag-change kasi mong citizenship, right?
Yeah.
Namay na, di ba? Daghan man kayo mga
there's a process to do that.
Naturalized Americans nga ma-Filipino na sila, ma-citizens na sila, and napayuban mga dual citizens. What do you think of dual citizens, by the way? Like
Traitors.
But they're only half traitors, right?
Traitors.
But they're only 50% traitor, right?
No. Completely. They're
completely.
How dare you? You're two-timing. Cheater.
So is that what you feel about?
No, not really. No, I'm just making joke lang.
So kana ba kanang
okay,
the decision part ba kanang imong national identity because importante man kana ka. So kaning that's why we need to learn our history so that we have a kind of collective national identity, right? So
a collective sense of self.
Decision sa na nimo, di ba? You have to decide nga asa ka ganahan. So kung ganahan ka sa imong national identity as a Filipino, then you remain being a Filipino, Or even if you no longer reside in the Philippines, nakaibawag ko ba nga daghang kay mga Filipino sa gawas, labi na sa Amerika nga ang ilang pagka-Pilipino wa gyud na wagtag na American citizen na lang sila, right? Pero ga-practice mo sila, sinulog po sila dito. You know what I mean? Inasal po sila dito. And so on and so forth. So ilang gida ang ilang national identity sa lain nga nasod.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's fine. You can always do that, and then you can still achieve a certain level of integration into another society, so long as you still adhere yourself to the laws of the land, and you adhere yourself to majority of the social practices there. Then I see no problem with it. Go for it.
Pero ako mong nabantayan good is this is becoming a problem in some parts of the world. I really don't know much about what's happening with the Europe, but I know nga murag medyo naanay culture nga lain ba nga medyo murag ni disturb ni bitaw sa peace bitaw somehow. So kanang imong pag-practice sa imong kultura sa lain nga nasod. Even here in the Philippines, 'di ba? Nakadungog sa daghang kay mga istorya sa
foreigners
sa Siargao, pananglitan, 'di ba nga medyo na ay mga kultura dito nga
they're forcing their way
practice na nilang maayo very openly because we're an open society, we're a democracy, right? So murag nasubraan na. So naa di ay part sa imong national identity, sa imong national identity kung i-practice nimo sa uban nga lugar nga dili na siya kaning maayo.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely agree. Kaya ang mahitabo ana is that you're going to be forming another cultural nga enclave within that
community
country, within that country.
Okay.
You're forming your own cultural nga enclave, and ang mahitabo man jud ana is that people always have own bias, own group bias. So what will happen there is dili na inon mo maka-integrate within that society, and you don't become part of that society. You become murag mahimo mog pimple basically sa naong sa
pimple
sa nasod. Yeah.
Anong pimple man ba? Matambalan na bi ang pimple.
Yeah, matambalan man pud ni. Pero basically, yeah, it's like you're there but you're not actually part of it. Basically, mana ko mahuna.
Kay mo kumo-practice gud ka sa imong kultura sa uban nga nasod gud. Mura like this is probably an exaggeration. It's like introducing a foreign body to it's like introducing a foreign body ba. So
it is.
Mura siya dili kay imong kultura, it's born out of the land, di ba? That you were born in, di ba?
Yeah.
So
largely
kana imong kultura, imong kinaiya nito ni butho na siya tungod sa imong surroundings, di ba? And imong mga nakaistorya, di ba? Mga co-Filipinos nimo, co-inhabitants nimo of the land, di ba? So kung imuha nang i-practice og lain nga lugar, medyo weird na siya, murag dili na ni maopat. Kung panalitan ba karon, grabe naman kay diverse ang atoang mga nasod ba, di ba? Daghan na kaayo tag mga Pilipino sa Amerika, di ba? Daghan na kayo yung mga diri sa Pilipinas. Sa Cebu, daghang kay mga Koreano, di ba? So grabe na kay ka-diverse ang ato ang society. So unya by and large, mura man tag okay ra man ta. Diri sa Pilipinas, we don't, I'm probably assuming nga people are like me, but I don't mind the Koreans, Yeah, most Americans don't mind siguro the Filipinos in the United States, diba?
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. So we've more or less, of course there are always exceptions. We've already learned how to live with each other's cultures, diba?
To a certain extent,
yeah.
Yes, pero lang jud ang problema lang jud is that if you don't know how to respect the law of the land first and foremost, and then if you bring cultural practices kay lahi man jud mga cultural practices
lahi gid kina iya mga Muslim labi na ang relihiyon importante kay na, di ba? Usa na sa mga pinaka-importante nga part of a person, di ba? Part of a culture nga medyo murag to most of them it's non-negotiable ba, di ba?
Yeah,
Unya,
yeah.
kung moadto ka usa ka lugar, unya non-negotiable ni nimo niya.
Mhm.
Dili ko na siya normal ko, dili ko na siya non-negotiable sa usa ka lugar nga imong giadto, di ba?
Mhm.
So you're going to get a lot of resistance from your non-negotiable. So nanay gamay nga murag medyo tension, di ba?
Yeah, for sure. And then mo jud ang mahitabo nga kan naanay mga problema. Kay these are things nga uh you actually do need to concede largely, especially if you're living in another place because you're living by their laws, their rules. So ang problema is that if you bring in if you bring in people who are unwilling to adhere to the law of the land, then dira na mo pop up ang mga problems. There's this is actually fairly recent. I saw a news article about this earlier. Not news article, a video rather about this earlier. Because apparently somebody, a foreigner, basically had attacked somebody with a knife in the UK, and he separated that person's head from his body.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
Because
and no idea why. But basically, who knows? This man could have been just a crazy person who does not adhere to laws in general. And then if you bring in that person to your country, of course he's not going to be following your laws.
Well,
he already wasn't following the laws in his country.
cutting off somebody's head, I think, is universally bad, right?
Yes, universally bad.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, but that if you bring people in who are unwilling to obey your laws, that's what's gonna happen. And then you could it's a more violent example, but you could also try to find examples cultural. For example, sa Siargao, you have a bunch of people there who dili man siya hinoon siya kanang it's like we have laws against it, but basically ang ilang cultural practices are inconvenient to everybody around them. I think they're having like some kind of like prayer group or something like that. They have this like gathering that's happening at like weird times of the day while people are trying to sleep. Basically, they're making a lot of noise.
Okay.
And because they're foreigners and they're practicing their culture there in Siargao, the locals are just there like, can you be respectful to us?
But because of the invention of travel, the invention of airplanes and ships and interconnected by the internet, sayo na lang yung kaayo paglarga. Sayo lang kaayo pag-adto. Kung ganahan ka mo adto sa usa ka lugar, kung na kay kwarta, kung na kay passport, kung na kay visa, makaadto gi ka right then and there, di ba?
Yeah.
Kung ganahan ka mo puyo sa Spain, pwede ra gyud kung na kay kwarta, di ba? Dili na siya.
Basically.
It's not a question anymore, right? Unless you're probably banned from a country because of whatever reason, then most likely you could easily go. So ang ato ang mga nasod karon, grabe na kaayo ka diverse gid ba? Like pananglitan atong hisgutan ng Amerika, grabe it's a country of immigrants, di ba? Kanang mga original immigrants, hika na sila sa kaning Italy, sa uban pang parts of the world, di ba? Daghan kayo mga Italian community sa Amerika and all of that stuff, di ba? So it's a country of immigrants. Unya kaning ang original gyud nga mga natives diya, one can argue are the American Indians, di ba?
Native Americans.
Native Americans, di ba? Mo na ilang hisgutan, di ba? So kana siya ang ilang mga balaod i-consider na gyud ang diversity sa usaka sa naso, di ba? Ang ilang mga laws na mura na siya more friendly na to different cultures, di ba? Different ways of being mo nang murag kanang mga rights nila, kanang especially kanang freedom of speech, di ba? Right to bear arms and all of that stuff. Kanang murag medyo it is friendly ba to a free society bitaw.
Yeah.
For you to express whatever it is that you want to express, no matter how kaning inconvenient it may be, as long as you're not disturbing somebody, you can express that thought. At least mo na basic fundamental meaning and ang right of sana freedom of speech, di ba?
Yeah.
So, ang akong pangutana siguro sunod ba is kanang sovereignty, kanang national identity ba? Kung sige nilang taog travel ang mga tao sa kalibutan, sige nilang og balhin-balhin sa lain-laing lugar, mga lain-lain ng mga nasod sa Asia, mo balhin diri sa Pilipinas. In fact, we all know nga we have a very healthy Chinese community here in the Philippines, di ba? Daghan kayo tag mga amigo ug mga amiga nga mga from the mainland, di ba nga they have decided to uproot themselves from China and have decided to live here, di ba? And many others kanang mga Hapon, daghan man kay tag mga Japanese kaning immigrants nga nagpuyo na diri sa Pilipinas, di ba? Sa
Koreans
Cebu,
too.
Koreans pag yun, di ba? So
Mhm.
nagka-diverse yun ang ato ang mga tao. So kana ato ang national identity ba? Fixed man gina, di ba? Kay you can't change the past, di ba?
Yeah.
Pero kana ato ang national identity subject gyapon siguro siya to changes or should we be able to adapt the way we feel as a nation and who we are based on what is happening around us, or kuan gina siya ba kanang fixed gina siya ba kanang atong gitawag og national identity?
I think to a certain extent it has to be fixed,
Mm.
and it shouldn't be something that sways depending on like what's happening in the country. Okay, by that point you don't have an identity. Okay, you're just whatever. So it needs to be fixed to a certain extent, and then for the people who come into our country who want to live here in our country. And if they want to adapt the Filipino national identity, then they will integrate themselves into our society, and they will live their life like a Filipino would, basically.
Really?
Yeah.
So-
you
so-
could
so-
you
so-
could-
so they
you could-
cannot-
you could see the exact same thing happening
so
in Japan.
You cannot practice your identity of your other nation.
You can,
You can,
for
but-
sure. But,
but-
it needs to be respectful, Gapon, to the laws of the land,
Yeah.
and to the cultural practices of the people
Yeah.
here in the Philippines.
So
Kana.
so na gyud so you can practice your culture and your identity even if you're not from that place. You can practice your national identity
Yes.
to in a foreign land as long as you don't disturb everybody else, right?
Yeah, basically.
And I think that applies to fellow citizens too, right? Kung naa kay a particular quirk, di ba? Nga panalitan mo, syagit lang galit, whatever, right? And you can probably do that in the confines of your room, right? Or whatnot, right? But kung maigking na ang silingan nimo, madisturbo na dili na katug, dili na sa namayo, di ba? So, because that's subject to the laws of the land, di ba?
Yes.
That's under the law of the land. So nindot gyud siguro nga like I think that's what's going on with society now, di ba? Kanang mga basic human laws ba that applies to most people ba? Mora magyapon na siguro ang operating system of a society regardless of what your culture and your national identity is, di ba? Gawas na kung hinuon kung pananglitan ang imong national identity, ang imong relihiyon, kaning pananglitan mo sacrifice o kaning inyong igsuon kanang human sacrifice niya ang laws sa usa ka nasod illegal ng human sacrifice, di ba? So dili ka makapractice sa imong national imong cultural identity this time, or talking about religious identity this time, right? So subject yapon to the laws of the land, which is more or less universal, di ba? More or less, I'm like the laws in the Philippines is, you can't kill in the Philippines, and most likely in other parts of the world murder is also illegal, di ba?
Yeah.
We-
We have laws
one
that
would hope, di ba?
Yeah, would basically carry over to
Yeah,
other countries
yeah,
as well.
yeah.
But we also have laws that are unique to
Yeah, yeah.
our countries.
Yeah.
Like our speed limits.
Yeah, lahi pod.
We have different ages of consent
Kana
in
lang-
each country's
Yeah,
pod. There's that.
correct. Kada lang kon kanang singing of the national anthem ba?
Mm.
Because ang Amerika, makadungog ko sa kanang NBA, pilder bang Knicks, lahi ilang, ang ilang pagkanta sa ilahang Star Spangled Banner, lain-laing version, di ba?
Yeah, nana.
Sa Pilipinas, ni suway si Martin Rivera og kanta nga pinabawg-bawg og tingog ikasabaan. This is a long time ago because there's only one way to sing the national anthem. Right?
Actually, I've been in two different choirs.
Mm.
The choir in my high school sings the national anthem a bit differently.
Oh, hala,
compared.
hala.
Oh, pero it's still that same marching style nga.
So
Pero nasa lagi butang nga pa flavor gamay sa kinalasan.
that's actually kaning interesting topic ba. Unsa man giday how is what's the legal way of singing the Lupang Hinirang?
I'm not aware that this is like a legal requirement.
What's the kay kuan badlungon man ka ba kung iyong
Oh,
pinabagbawg.
Pero I think that's more like cultural nga expectation. I don't know if like it's a illegally enforced nga rule.
Parehar ko ng kanang pananglitan, di ba? I don't know if this still applies. Hinumdum ko niya ito una, di ba? Napamatay flag ceremony at una, di ba?
Yeah.
Actually, mag-flag ceremony sa ni si Ralph, pero di lang ko makakita. Kaya sayo mga yun sa si Ralph. Unsa oras yung flag ceremony diri, Ralph? Ha? Naghan makay flags gawas, good Philippine flag. Nakinumdum ko ba itong una, you cannot put the flag on the ground, di ba? Di ba ba? Nakinumdum ka na, nga dili ka, kanang flag, dili na siya masadsad sa ground, di ba?
Oh, okay. Actually, oh my gosh, I didn't realize this, but it is illegal.
Oh my God.
It is illegal.
Hala!
So
dakpunon de ka ba?
under Republic Act number 8491,
Okay.
the flag and heraldic code of the Philippines, the
Okay.
national anthem must be sung in the national language with its exact prescribed musical arrangement and tempo.
Sus,
Oh,
Ralph. Patay.
Mapriso ka.
Ayay, si Ralph sa fugitive de ka Ralph, mura de kag si Bato Ralph. Ha?
Hey, the only thing ang gibuhat differently naman is like ang arrangement sa choral, like how the choir sings it basically.
So unsa may punishment ba kung pananglitan magbabagbawg kasi
Okay.
mo ang kanta?
Penalties. Violating these rules can result into a fine of 5,000 to 20,000 pesos, imprisonment
1
for
year?
up to 1 year. Oh, kuyawa, 1 year jud or both. While lawmakers have proposed bills over the years to increase these fines to 100,000 and include jail time for improper kung iyabag ka kay mapriso ka.
Mapriso ka.
The penalties mandated by the existing RA 8491 remain the enforced law. Okay, so it's still 5,000 to 20,000. Imagine na kung yabag ka, mapriso ka.
Dili, I think this is not about being yabag. There's just a way of singing siguro unsa man.
It says improper, so
What does that mean?
yeah, that's the thing. Manang pangutana, what does improper mean? If rather vague ang imong pag-describe sa kan, sa law, ang mahitabuan na is like basically anything that anybody can consider improper will fall into that
Wow, and
category.
that's the symbol good of our nation, di ba? Kanang flag, di ba? I-embody ko na in a piece of cloth, di ba? Nga money ang Pilipinas, and that's what we're fighting for. That's what we're celebrating our independence. And finally, one good reason why we should celebrate our Independence Day, this June 12th Friday, is renew civic values, encourages reflection on whether the country is living up to the ideals that inspired its independence in the first place. What do you think of that? Encourages reflection. Mo reflect ba ka ba Independence Day ba?
Not really.
Mo reflect ba ka?
Not really.
Ako nakita ani mong reflect, mo reflect kasi mong naong pirmi. Sige lang kag panamin, di ba?
Mapriso ka.
So does that work with that? Does that still function as a renewing factor encourages reflection on whether the country is living up to the ideals that inspired independence?
I think to a certain extent, yeah. Kay almost every single time nga we bring up Independence Day na namatay mga kailapod sa atong GC, nga kalatag ingon, are we really free?
Bitaw ba?
So daay pa mga
Free.
pilosopo nato nga mangutana jud.
Unsa man pasabutan ng free day ba?
Lagi.
Lisod kaya na siyang pangutan mo nang murag grabe kay naka-complicated ba niya human napagin ang word nga sovereignty, napagin ang word nga freedom, unsa man pasabot niya na niya mag-celebrate na gud ta karong kanong pizza 12 go unya pag human pila na 100 pila ikapila na ni siya. Pila na to katuig 100 something years of independence na ni siya.
Yeah, basically.
128th Independence Day na to sa Pilipinas. So since June 12, 1898 when we
Mhm.
became officially independent. So I think we should be aware of why it's a holiday and why it's important to at least think about it, diba?
Mhm.
Okay, there's a
Yeah.
reason why it's a holiday. It's because we want our nation, our brothers and sisters, our citizens to think about it, right?
Mhm.
To reflect upon what it means to be free and what it means to be a Filipino and why we should. Kaya para magunako ba, it's really a continuous and ongoing process. In fact, it is one of those things that is never really achieved ba. Dili siya achievable in the sense nga there's a there's like a peak of the mountain.
Mhm.
Mora nagsisisifos ba nga sige lang taog struggle, sige lang tag trabaho sa ato ang pagka-independent pero there's no such thing as the end of kaning the job. It's a continuous process ba I think. So I think it's important that we have these celebrations, ha? Pero I think it's also important nga atong mga leaders ba, including ourselves, and I think in a way that's what we're doing here today. We're talking about it because I think that's what this celebration is for.
Mhm.
For us to talk about it, to discuss it, and to think about it. Now, on some day, what does it mean to be a Filipino? And I think we need more of a renewal of vows.
Renewal of
If you
vows.
want to call it that ba nga,
Mhm.
you know, like, because lisod man kayo ba, yung nagpuyo ka din sa Pilipinas, di ba?
Mhm.
And you're not helpful to your own country, di ba?
Mhm.
Wala ka nakibaw nganom de, nganong importante man ng Filipino, kung unsa man akong buhaton di ba?
Mhm.
Sometimes makalimot na matagod with all of our problems, with all of our concerns, and with all of the media that we consume. Makalimot na what it means to be Filipino. And I think it's crucial that when we have these celebrations, of course, happy ta, maglarga-larga ta, ato ta sa mall, or pahuway ta sa balay. Pero I think maybe we should probably perhaps grab a book or
Mhm.
maybe read an article about what it means to be you, what it means to be a Filipino,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Because if there's one thing we're lacking jud that is Filipinas, it's a stronger sense of the Filipino nationality our national identity.
Yeah.
Kana.
So who do we blame it? Blame it to our colonizers?
We can blame it on them, and then we can blame it on the fact our education system is so poor. Ang reading comprehension that is sa Pilipinas is very
Oh my goodness.
very poor.
Sound na lang ni. So Mara, I think it's really important to just, like understand that this is an ongoing project, right? This is a kind of the Filipino experiment. Let's call it that, right? Nga kinanglan ni Usbon, kaning i-adjust og gamay, and I think it helps to understand the past, understand history, right?
Mhm.
Para makasabot sa nganong ingon ani ka, nganong
Lagi.
inani ta,
Yes.
di ba? As a
Yes.
nation, di ba? Nganong buwag-buwag ta, nganong sige away-away.
Lagi.
Pero I think ba kanang nangahitabo karon sa kanang Senado, sa Kongreso, kanang nahitabo ron sa kaning mga mabalitaan nato sa news, ha? Kaning this is really kind of a our identity, right? Because dili mo gina malimod nga this is who we are, right?
Yeah.
And the question is, do we like it? Diba? Lipay ba mo sa nangahitabo sa Pilipinas karon? Well, if the answer is no, then do something about it.
True.
Right?
True. Do something about it.
Yeah.
Kana.
So, guys, I hope to see you on June 12th. We'll have something special. We don't know what it is yet, but I'm sure it's special and more special than lechon, I think.
More special than me.
Oh, yeah. Well, but you better fix up your hair, man, because I want the spiked hair on Friday.
You want the spikes?
Yeah, I want to see you free, man. By the way, si Glenda, ga birthday karon ba? Is it her birthday today?
It's not her birthday today.
Oh,
It was
saan
last month. Na-delay lang ang celebration.
Na-delay nga na-delay man na traffic.
Siguro.
Na traffic, oh.
Mhm.
So, happy birthday to the host of Miss Glenda Suico, celebrating her, I think, 33rd birthday this month of June, right? Daghang salamat, and you guys take care. Please, if you want if you have any comments and suggestions and whatnot, just please post it on this particular video that you're looking at, or text 0999-88. Di pa ko memorize atong phone number ba? Gaya na ning number pa ba?
0999-887-6070.
Just text us your shout-outs and your questions and comments and whatnot. Thank you so much for watching and listening to Top of the Morning here on 105.1 TMC. I'm your host. My name is Jiggy Juice.
And I'm Ralph Chavez.